Hey everybody, welcome back to Bubba's Comedy. I'm your host, Stephen James. And on today's episode, I want to talk about something that I don't find any pleasure in talking about, but it's something I think I've got to deal with. It's something that I've dealt with my whole life. I'm not saying I'm an expert in this subject, but I have a few stories for you. As a society in this country, in this world, I believe we have an addiction problem. And when it comes to addiction, it's all shapes and sizes. When you hear the word addiction, you automatically think it has something to do with drugs. Yeah, it can. But the addiction comes in all forms. You can be addicted from everything to social media, to pain pills, to porn, to alcohol, sex, shopping, Funko Pops. I mean, if that's not bad enough, our attention span has shrunken from 30 seconds now to about 5 to 7. Now, I speak of addiction. I've battled addiction my whole life. I love food. I love to cook. I love to eat. I love it. But it's taken a toll on my body. Now, in my life, I have seen all types of addiction in my own personal life and in my professional life. I don't speak on this as a professional. I speak on this as a human being, as someone who's lived through this. Any type of addiction sucks the life out of your family, sucks the life out of you as a human being. Because all your energy is just tied to the next hit, the next shopping spree, the next shot, the next drink. That's all you're obsessed with. And your family is just trying to be obsessed with trying to make you better. And that's the give and take in addiction. My heart goes out to anybody and everybody who has ever been addicted to this. Either alcohol, any type of addiction. My heart goes out to you. Now, with that being said, I have a question. Why does it feel like the society has become more addicted to hate and hooked on stupid? Now, if you get right down to it, I really should be the poster child for hate. My whole life, I've been made fun of because of my weight. I've been hated on. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm just saying that's my life. I've always felt like I've never been good enough. And when it comes to mental problems, I've never backed down from that. And I'm not going to do that now. I mean, having a bullet in my neck is because of hate, because of stupidity, because somebody thought they were more superior than me. Have you ever met somebody with an addiction that's a happy-go-lucky person? And then you take their addiction away? I believe I know why hate is growing in this country. And it's simple. Hate is easy. Hate is popular because it's not a thinking man's feeling. Hate will always be your best friend in the darkest times. Hate will always be there for you. Hate will make you feel more superior than others that are less fortunate than you. You might ask yourself, what do I mean by people feeling more superior than others? Did you know it was against the law now to be homeless? So you have to find others who believe in the same hate. Someone who believes in your lies. Somebody who won't tell you no. Somebody who will agree with you because that's what you need. That's what you have to have with an addiction. You need that confirmation that you're doing right. I've seen a lot of good people turn bad because of hate. Because hate makes them feel validated. Hate makes them feel wanted and needed. I would like to tell you a few stories that I've had to go through to understand hate, to see it up close and personal. And I want to show you how an addiction and just negative thoughts can just turn your life inside out. And some of these stories, man, to this day, I still don't understand them. I'm going to share them with you so maybe you can. And before I tell you some of these stories, I hope I have your trust now. So I don't it might sound like I'm pulling these stories out of my ass. These are events that I've had to go through for some reason. The big man upstairs has always put me through these awkward situations. And maybe it's to share them with you now. I don't know. Here's one story for you. And it is lathered and dripping in stupidity and hate. And if I wasn't there to witness it, I don't know if I'd believe it or not. First, I have to take you back in time to the summer of 2007, the time that I decided to be a man and move out of my parents' house at the ripe old age of 27 years old. I decided it was time to live on my own. It was the worst 2 years of my life. Let me explain. 2007, for the 6 months, it was going great. And then we hit 2008, and everything stopped. Financial crisis. Banks were loaning out too much money and couldn't afford houses, so it sent everything into a recession. Fuck, not being able to find toilet paper. Fuck, there wasn't people able to find jobs. There were people losing their homes left and right. There were people that weren't going to the casinos anymore. So when people stop going to the casinos, guess what? Casinos don't need security guards to watch their casinos. And you guessed it. I lost my job. I lost my job 2 weeks before they started handing out Christmas bonuses. And they say the house doesn't win. So I didn't get my $700 Christmas bonus. Now without a job, I couldn't afford to live on my own anymore. And at the time, nobody was hiring. Nobody. I lost my private security. I lost security I was doing at the casino. It just all stopped. All the good times just stopped. Like somebody walked in and shut off the lights and said, "Party's over. Everybody fucking go home." Now, I'm getting evicted from my one-bedroom home. And everybody is struggling. And my parents tell me, "Hey, this might be the hardest conversation we have, but you can't move back home." I said, "Okay, I understand. Thank you." They just couldn't help me anymore. They helped me a lot when I was living on my own. I mean, a lot. So I had to put my big boy pants on. I had to go find somewhere else to live. So, what did people do back then? There was one place that you'd go to find anything you were looking for. I don't know if it's so popular nowadays. This one place was Craigslist. I know, I know. Desperate times, desperate measures. Let's just say I'm too big to be homeless. I have needs. I like food, water, a roof. So I found this place on Craigslist. It was a room to rent, $300. It was a makeshift room off a garage. I had the use of the kitchen. It was just a shell of a house. Like, it had potential, but you could tell that something had happened here, but you weren't quite sure, but you didn't ask any questions because you're just lucky to be off the streets. I had another roommate, and she was a really cool chick. She drove a Gremlin, she worked at a movie theater, she did mushrooms, she smoked weed. She was just a cool chick, and she lived in the back, and she had been there for a while. And if it wasn't for her, I think I would have just thrown in the towel. Straight up, honest with you. I just, at that point, nothing was going my way. What was I living for? So I was done if it wasn't for her. We never had sex. We never had any of that. We never fooled around, nothing. We were just friends. Straight out. Now, this is where the story starts to get lathered and stupid. And you'll be asking yourself, why the fuck did he stay? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I do. Because I had nowhere else to fucking go. A few months before I moved into this house, it was occupied by police officers, SWAT team, FBI. Okay, the house was raided 2 months before I moved in. And the people that were renting the room, the people that took my deposit, they didn't tell me none of this shit. Nothing. So, here I am living in this used to be party house. And I asked one day, I said, what's the hole in the ceiling for? She said, that's where the stripper pole was. I thought, oh God, what have I done? And I need a black light. I was in my room this one day, and my friend came over from her room, knocked on the door, and she came in and she noticed I had a pot plant growing out of a Dixie cup. And she said, you can't do that. You can't grow that here. I said, I just wanted to see what it would. She says, you can't do it. She immediately took it out of the cup and destroyed it. And I said, what? She says, let me tell you a story. She, at that time, informed me that the house was raided 2 months prior for me moving in, and she didn't want to say anything because they needed the money to keep the house going. The house got raided because of an illegal grow. Now, if you would have told me that, I wouldn't have been having no red Dixie cup. And the story goes, when the house got raided, they found pounds of drugs, or pounds of weed, other drugs, and when they raided the house, they found a safe in the floor, and it had a check or counterfeit bill, something like that, to get the FBI involved. The landlord of the house had another house. Please keep that in mind. Again, I'm just grateful to have a roof over my head. So I'm not trying to rock the boat here. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that's on him. He's got illegal grow. You got to pay a fine, yada, yada, yada. I'm not thinking it's a big deal. I'm not questioning anybody. I'm not Jacques Cousteau over here. I'm just lucky to have a roof over my head. Little did I know. I started dating this woman in 2009. I met her in the casino. We started dating. She worked at the casino. She wasn't a patron. And we started hanging out. We started dating. She'd come over to my place, have a booty call. Yeah, because I have it like that. And she was over a few times and we were starting to be serious. And she said, hey, why don't you move in with me? And I was like, oh, are you serious? She said, yeah, just move in with us. At the time, she had a daughter. And I said, no problem. At the time, she still has the daughter. We still kept her. And I was grateful. I thank God for her every day. I moved out of that room in less than 12 hours. I was giving shit away. Like, I just wanted to be out of there. I was sitting on the bed watching the morning news, maybe a month later, and it said, breaking news, man found guilty of 11 of 12 felonies. His charges include attempted murder, conspiracy to assemble a booby trap, 5 drug charges, and these crimes were all carried out against him police department between 2009 and 2010. He was accused of rigging 2 homemade zip guns and put them on the detective's car. He tried to launch a World War II era bazooka at the Hemet Police Department. He left boards with nails outside the detectives' homes. So he'd get like flat tires and then he would take them out, I guess. I don't have no clue about the nails and shit. I have no clue. He was convicted of 4 of 9 attacks carried out against Hemetes that terrorized the city. And he was given a max sentence after being convicted of 11-12 felonies. Charges brought against him included attempted murder of a police officer, conspiracy to commit murder, assembling a booby trap, the drug charges, and the jury deadlocked on another attempted murder charge on another police officer. And that one was dismissed. He was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences. Under the maximum, he will not be eligible for parole for 78 years. My landlord's face popped up on the news. I looked at my wife and I said, well, about that back rent. Now, the only thing they had on him were the drug charges. After that, he did everything to get his case thrown out. Attempted murder, blown up police department. Now, I didn't know any of this. I couldn't afford a newspaper. I didn't have a television. And the guy had another house. He only came to this house when he wanted to get away from his wife because he had a girlfriend. And I know he had a girlfriend because his wife came to that house while the girlfriend was there, and he came over and said, hey, can she stay in here with you while my wife is here? Sure. hate, stupidity, the addiction to revenge cost him everything. Do you think that he was going to get 4 consecutive life sentences for just some weed? Just a story full of hate, ignorance, revenge, and stupidity. Hmm. Another story. I was attending this church. This church will remain nameless, but it happened to be less than 5 miles from where I was shot. One day, the preacher man was making an announcement, informing the congregation that there was a new men's group starting up. He was looking for testimonies, he was looking for stories that if you'd like to share, see him before and after service so they can figure out what to do with you and your story. Well, people were starting to come up to me and ask me if I was him, if I was the hero that saved the lady's life, because my face had been in all the newspapers. That was the biggest thing in that town. That shooting caused that city to get a police department. That's how big it was. I went and told the preacher man my story. I told him I was shot in the face on Easter. The doctors and nurses still didn't understand how I was still alive. It's a story of faith. It's a story of healing. A story of trying to bridge the unknown. And that's all I wanted to convey. After telling him my story, the man that I had been sharing the gospel with, he looked down at me and he said these words that will stay with me till the day I die. He looked down at me, paused, and said, I'm not giving you my stage so you can make a name for yourself. Okay, thank you. I think. God bless. Hallelujah. What the fuck do you say when somebody says that to you? What type of human being says that? Take the fact that he was a preacher man, that he asked for testimonies, that he asked for people to come share their story, that he was starting a new ministry. Just take the fact that he's a preacher dude out of it. What type of man does that? What type of human being says that to somebody else? My name is Stephen James. I don't need your fucking stage. I don't need your fucking building. I don't need your permission for me to make a name for myself. God made a name for me when he gave me life. That's not your building. That's not your stage. That's his house. God has always been my biggest cheerleader. I know what I've survived because he's walked the walk with me to help me survive. He had nothing to say. He had more power than me. I said, okay, thank you. And I never went back to that church. Because how do I go back? The simple fact that he wouldn't listen to me. He didn't want to hear me. He didn't have time for me. That's fine. God is free. I can always talk to him. And let me just say this. If you've ever been on the receiving side of this, where you've been shocked and awed by a response somebody's told you about your story, let me just say, your story matters. You matter. You're important to somebody. Without your story, without your pain, without your hardships, what are you? That gives you character. That builds up who you are as a person. lets you know that you can tackle the hard times when you're sitting up late at night wondering how the fuck you're going to pay the light bill, how the fuck you're going to afford prescriptions. Been there, done that. My hat goes off to you because you are just as important as everybody else. And the people that have never worried about a light bill, never worried about not having enough to eat, not worried about being homeless, congratulations. You're winning. There are a lot of people that would like the game just to be fair, because they would like to win every now and then. One last story before I get out of here. I remember when a relative set up a GoFundMe page after my incident, and a friend of mine asked me, "So, are you gonna pay back the people that are loaning you this money?" What? I was just shocked and awed by that. I didn't understand. I think at the time, my GoFundMe had only raised like $2,000. Did he donate? Did he do anything? No. I remember other people I had known for 10 or 15 years were calling me and telling me that this was my life. I deserved everything that had happened to me. That I shouldn't have stuck my nose in where it didn't belong. And that started to sink in. And I started having doubt on myself. Like, did I do the right thing? Did I do this for some other reason? And I hate that self-talk. I hate that self-doubt. I started asking myself, did I make the right choice? Because these people were telling me this bullshit. And this is coming from people that have never done a selfless fucking thing. So why am I giving them 2 seconds of what the fuck what they think? What do I care what they think? Unless you're paying my light bill, unless you're putting food on my table, shut the fuck up. People like that don't know how to respond to somebody that has been through something traumatic, do me a favor. Don't say anything. Just don't. Because at that point, you're hooked on hatred. You're hooked on stupidity. Why are you not trying to make people's lives better? Why are we not addicted to helping people? I believe hate grows in this country because it's simple. It's easy. It doesn't come with an instruction manual. In society, there's a lot of self-doubt, a lot of hatred out there. A lot of people have resentment, not understanding, people looking for answers. But they're looking at weak individuals to give them the answer. When you're at your lowest, when you're in the darkest depths of your own mind, that's when the devil walks through the door and makes himself at home in your head. Now I ask you, are you ready to give up everything? Everything you own? Everything you love out of hate? Look at these people that shoot up these schools, the churches, the synagogues, because of pure hate and not understanding, not caring, only caring about themselves. But more and more, I see things that I live with that have changed me. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just have to appreciate things more. I have to live for the big things, but I have to appreciate the small things along the way. I've always said the dream is the journey. Kobe Bryant quote, I believe. So when you're upset and you're hating on everything, and you just are in the depths of your mind and just have no goodwill towards anybody, and you're hooked on that revenge and that hatred and the stupidity, and you've given up trying to help anybody, and they ask you, what's wrong? What happened? Just tell them you have an addiction problem. Guys, my name is Stephen James. Until next time.